What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Vic Choxy, and welcome to today's edition of Chalk Talk, brought to you by Sports Intel. Today's guest is my guy, Thomas Casale. Thomas and I first actually started interacting on Twitter because I used to love his futures picks. We've kept in touch since then, and now he's a supervising editor over at The Score, doing some great things over there. So, Thomas, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for jumping on. Let's kick this off, man. First and foremost, I just want to say thanks. I know how busy you are, so I appreciate your time. And, before we jump into some games, I always like to talk to my guests and really hear their story a little bit. I want you to tell me how you got into gambling. Did you gamble as a kid growing up, love the industry, or just, how you kind of broke into the industry?
Sure. Well, my father was an all-time degenerate, and not even in a good way. I mean, he was a sick man. I remember once we were going to the Jersey Shore when I was a kid for vacation, and he stopped at the local OTB and he said, "I'll be right back. I just got a better race." And 3 hours later, he came back, left us in the car. I mean, that's kind of the atmosphere I grew up. So I started playing those football sheets when I was like 8 years old, and I was big time into betting. And to be honest with you, when I was younger, I got into some trouble. I had no idea how to bet like I do now. And you're just betting money you don't have on, the Rams and the over every week.
Yeah.
So, I got in some trouble with a couple different bookies. I was down on the mat, and, then I realized this isn't the right way to go through life. So kind of changed things around, and instead of just betting, learned how to bet. You know what I mean? And even when you learn how to bet, you're hoping to hit 55%. So that ought to tell you something right there. So if you don't know how to bet, you're in a lot of trouble. So that's kind of, I started really young. And then, I went back to college, got my degree, started working, and got a job in the NFL, covered the Syracuse basketball team, did a lot of fantasy writing. And, then like a lot of other people, I caught a break when the sports betting got legalized, and got a shot with Bet Chicago from someone I know, Marcus Donito, who's helped me out a lot, gave me an opportunity there, and moved on to Roto Grinders. And then The Score had an opening and got in touch with me about a supervising editor position. So that's kind of been my path. It's been a long one, but it's been worth it.
No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure it's tough, and I'm glad you've kind of, like you said, grinded away like all gamblers do, and bounced up off the mat, and now you're here doing well. So it's great to see you, great to have you here, and I'm glad I started following you on Twitter, man. That's been a fun place for gambling, right? It has its highs and lows. There's definitely some crazy characters we've all seen out there, and some trolls, but for the most part, there's a lot of really good, like, smart people out there that help each other, and that's what I love about it. So let's do this, man. Let's jump into the NFL. I love your futures. I love the insight you have on a lot of these games. I know that you watch games and you're good at what you do, so that's why I wanted to have you on this show. So I've picked out a couple of games that I liked, I wanted to kind of chat about, and then we'll wrap it up with your pick of the week. So we start in Chicago, my home team. Just because I like to, I'm a little biased, right? It's my squad. I know now after all these years, you got to put gambling aside from your home squad, but there's still a little bit of bias. So I want to pick your brain a little bit on the Colts and the Bears. Right now, we're seeing the public kind of on the Colts, but a little bit of money on the Bears. The line is pretty much 2.5 across the board with the Colts favored. So what were your first thoughts when you're looking at this game, breaking it down? Do you have a side or total that you like on the game?
Well, I was higher on the Bears than some people coming into the season because I predicted, that this quarterback change would happen sooner than later. I thought that's why they didn't bring in a Cam Newton. They brought in Nick Foles. Matt Nagy is comfortable with him. And I feel like if Trubisky wasn't the high draft pick, Foles would have started the season. So I knew Trubisky was on a short leash. He saved himself week 1 in the fourth quarter against the Lions because Matt Patricia is an awful coach. So, but you knew that he was living on borrowed time. And it's not that Nick Foles is a superstar, but here's the thing. On the Bears, you don't need to be a superstar quarterback. They got a good defense. They got some playmakers. Just don't make dumb mistakes. Keep drives going. To me, that was Trubisky's biggest issue. He's so inaccurate on those short to intermediate passes. He's not getting the 3rd and 5s. So the defense is constantly on the field or getting tired. And in my opinion, when we know something, the players knew it 3 months ago. So they knew who should have been the starting quarterback there. And when there's a situation like that arises, I feel like when the decision is finally made, the team gets a lift because they want Foles in there. I mean, they don't believe in Trubisky. They don't, no matter what they say publicly. So I was higher on the Bears coming into this season. I think they're a little lucky to be 3-0, but I like them in this matchup because I'm not as high on the Colts as some people. I'm not a Phillip Rivers guy. I do think they have a talented roster, but to me, I think the Bears are in a good position this week. They're that one team I got a feeling that everyone's going to be betting against, and it's going to be week 10, and they're going to be like, geez, I keep betting against the Bears, and they keep burning me. So I like the Bears in this spot.
I like it. I like your breakdown as well. And you could see the lift that the team got. He was in for 5 drives, and I think it was a reverse touchdown call on the A-Rob play that could have gone either way. A dropped Anthony Miller touchdown, which was wide open. He put it in the bucket, and then 3 touchdowns in a row to win the game, right? And you just saw the cool calmness, control, and the ability to audible, which we haven't seen Mitch do in a long time. They brought DiFilippo in, right? And he knows this offense, man. And he's a Super Bowl MVP. He's got the mental edge of this. So he's exactly what the Bears need. And like you said, we don't need the Bears offense to be like a top 5 unit. They just need to be average, and the defense will take care of the rest. And so like you, I was the Bears and the Rams are 2 teams before the season started that I like to have like a little bit of a positive regression this year. Because as bad as they were last year, they went 8-8, right? And so better quarterback. To me, they got a little bit better in the draft, which we're seeing. There's a couple of guys contributing right away. So I think it should be a good season. Should they be 3-0? Who knows? But in the NFL, every win counts, and we'll take it, right? So, and now that there's 7 teams making the playoffs, they have a really good chance at it, barring injuries and COVID, and, we'll get to COVID in a minute. But so I like that breakdown. The only little thing that worries me is Hakeem Hicks has been a monster this season, and now he goes up against Nelson in the middle. He's not going to be able to do what he's been doing the first couple of games. So it's going to be up to Khalil Mack and some of these other guys to try to deliver on the other side. But I'm like you, man. I'm not high on Phillip Rivers. I think he's going to give us a couple of gifts this week. And that's why I also like the Bears as well. So it'll be a fun game to watch. I don't know if I'll put some real money on it, but I'll definitely be rooting for them. So I like that insight. Let's go to a second game. This is one that I love. I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll give you mine. But Seattle at Miami. So the line is all over the place. I see some 7s, I see some 6.5s, and I see a 6 right now. So what are your thoughts on the Seattle-Miami game?
Yeah, I really like Miami in this spot, especially if you can get to 7 points. Here's the thing. Seattle's given up 500 yards a game. You can't, the Dolphins and the Cowboys are favored by over a field goal this week. You can't play defense like that and be laying points. That things have to go your way to cover. You watch that Seattle Atlanta game, and that game was closer than the score. And, everything goes wrong for the Falcons. So to me, when your defense is playing that poorly, and maybe it turns around, it's still early in the season, they played some good offenses. But I like the Dolphins in this underdog role. If you can get them at a touchdown, I think they're going to move the ball. I think they're going to put some points on the board. And the Seahawks have played some big games, some big emotional games, 2 in a row now against the Patriots, against the Cowboys. This is a perfect letdown spot for them, a game they might not be focused on early on, have to travel across the country. So I like the Dolphins first half as well, and I like them plus the 7.
I love it, man. I'm so glad as soon as you said Dolphins, I was like, yes. I put them in early, man. I got them at plus 7. I know I'm going to have them in a couple of contests this weekend as well. So you touched on all the reasons why. 80% of the public's also on them. Again, I don't use the public stuff. Just it's a tool in the tool shed, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
It's good to see, like, when I call all my boys, or you're looking online, every single person's on the Seahawks because this game is so easy. But if it was that easy, we'd all be chilling on the islands right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be swampy, muggy in Miami too, and a lot of teams usually I've noticed struggle in Miami in those situations, right? Especially early in the year. It's kind of like a Denver altitude thing. So I saw the Bears go through it a couple, when they were the better team, but they were gassed in the second half when they were in Miami a little while back. So I like Miami in this spot. I think they're a live dog, man. I think they can win for a lot of the reasons that you said, like them traveling, them coming off of a couple really, really big games, and their defense is just really shoddy. Their secondary, I believe in Fitzmagic, man. He doesn't give up, and if they're not going to be in the game, he's always good for a backdoor, right? So I'm glad we're on the same page there, and let's move on. So there's a big game, another big game that I love. It's Buffalo at Vegas, and so I wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit here because, of course, everyone's on the Bills, but I wanted to see what side you were on.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Bills. I love their team. Before the season, I said they kind of, last year I had the Ravens future at 40-1, and my reasoning was the Ravens team is talented. It's all going to depend on the quarterback. Can he elevate his game? And obviously Lamar Jackson elevated his game. He won MVP. And I felt the Bills were in the same situation this year. Their team is loaded, defense, offense, and the knock on him was Josh Allen. And if he could elevate his game a little bit, he didn't even have to be the best quarterback in the league, just elevate his game a little. They were going to be really tough, and he has, and they're tough. Now, having said all that, I think this is a great spot for the Raiders. They have that power running game. I think, to me, that's how you got to play Buffalo is with that power run game, run it right at them. I think they have the pieces in place. I didn't think it was a great spot for the Raiders last week. I actually went against them with New England. I know a lot of people like the points there, but coming off that big Monday night win against the Saints and then going to New England when New England really needed a win, that's not a great spot. This, I think, is a better spot for them. I also think they're going to be very tough at home this year. I know there's no fans there, but I just think playing in that new stadium, and the Raiders, to me, were a team that I liked. I bet over their win total. I thought they were a little undervalued heading into the year. I think it's going to be a really close game. Yeah, I'm not going to bet this one personally, but if I had to take it, I'd take the points with Las Vegas.
No, I like it. I'm right there with you. I don't think I'll bet it in real life. I'll wait till game time, but I do think I'm going to take them in a couple of contests because of some of the reasons you said. This game reminds me a lot of a couple weeks ago when the Saints came into town as well. So I think they're a live dog. Like you, I love Buffalo. I love their coach. I love their defense. I was high on them coming into this year. I did take them for their futures bet for their over and to win the Super Bowl because I thought, like you, there was some value there, kind of like the Ravens last year. So, and Josh Allen's been doing his thing. Of course, his accuracy is still a little iffy, but no one can deny the numbers he's putting up this year. So it's been nice to kind of see him get over that hump. I wish it was my quarterback in Chicago, but it's good to see a guy that sometimes, gets drilled and crucified in the media and on Twitter actually start taking that leap because it's a tough thing to play quarterback in the NFL, man. You win. You don't really get a lot of glory. You lose, you get shafted on, and I could say shitted on because this is my own show. So you get shitted on in Twitter, right? So no, I'm there with you, man. I think it'll come down to the last drive. I do believe in Oakland's offense. While their defense is super shoddy, I love their running game, and I like what Gruden's been doing on the offensive side of the football, and they have the ability to at least move the ball and be there for a backdoor cover, right, in case if you need it. So I'm there with you. Let's move on to a game of two teams that I absolutely hate to bet on, but so I'll probably skip this one, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Cleveland at Dallas.
Yeah, I touched on this earlier. I can't buy the Cowboys being that big of a favorite with their defense. The other thing too and I'm a Cowboys fan. The other thing too is their offensive line is light years away from where it was a couple years ago. I know it takes the national media a couple years to, get with the program, but the offensive line is weak right now. And you look at that Cleveland defensive line, it's going to pose a lot of problems for them, I think. The Cowboys are going to play a bunch of exciting games. Okay, so the fantasy people are going to love them. We love an exciting team, and the Cowboys are going to be in a bunch of close, high-scoring games. But to me, that defense is so bad right now. I just think Baker Mayfield, his receivers, I think they get right. I like Cleveland to win this game. I would definitely take the points, though.
I like Cleveland as well, man. I've just been burned so many times by them. Like they always find a way to lose my money, and I just can't do it. But I do think Cleveland's the right side. Like you said, I think they'll be able to dominate by running the football. And Dak versus the pressure, we've seen it time and time again. He struggles against good defenses and especially teams that can bring pressure. And Myles Garrett's been a beast this year, right? So I'm with you. I think they win. And maybe I tell you but I'm so scared. I have like PTSD betting a couple of teams. The Browns are one of them. And no matter what, I remember taking them against the Bengals again a couple of weeks ago, but to get back door there as well was pretty brutal. So we'll see. The last game I wanted to talk to you about was the New England Patriots at the Kansas City Chiefs. That is going to be a fun game, in my opinion, but we'll love to pick your brain a little bit on that game. If you like a side or a total or just what your thoughts were.
I like the Patriots first half, and here's why. If you look at the games they've played, Belichick has given Mahomes problems early. This is when I started to realize that Mahomes is in a whole nother level. It's not because his arm strength is no one's going to compete with that. But if you look at some of the games he's played against New England, Belichick has confused him early. Mahomes was a little hyped up in that first game. He threw a lot of passes over his receiver's head. And then in the second half, Mahomes started figuring out Belichick. And to me, that shows more about Patrick Mahomes than anything else. When you can play chess with Bill Belichick, that's impressive. And and I think that's one of the underrated things about Patrick Mahomes, because we get so in awe about his physical abilities, but his mental game is something else. So I'm not going to take the full. I think the Patriots are going to give them all they want. I think Cam's going to have a big game running the football. I think Bill's going to have a lot of things drawn up. It's hard to bet against this Chiefs team right now because they get rolling in the second half. So I actually like taking New England in the first half. I think this is going to be close throughout. If I had to pick it, I would take the Patriots plus the 7. But I really like them in the first half because I think Belichick's going to have I think New England, Kansas City is going to be more fun than Baltimore, Kansas City. Again, I had the Ravens futures last year, and if they had played the Chiefs, I was gonna hedge because it's a terrible matchup for them. They blitz all the time. You can't blitz all the time against Patrick Mahomes. You just can't do it. So I think that the Chiefs really own the Ravens, and this is going to be a better matchup this week.
I like that breakdown, and I like how you talked about Mahomes versus Belichick because I've seen that as well, and that's fun to see. And like, you're right, man. He's just on a different level right now, and this Chiefs offense is a well-oiled machine. So this is going to be just a fun chess match. And I like that first half bet. What line did you get, or what line are you seeing out there for Patriots first half?
I believe it's 3.5. Okay. Is it 3.5, 4 is when I saw it. I haven't bet it yet. I'm still thinking about the game, but that's where I would lean is the first half for the Patriots, because I could see them taking the lead into the half. And I could see the Chiefs making adjustments because the thing is this: that Bill gets the most out of his talent. This isn't his most talented team. He'll get the most out of it, but at some point, I think the Chiefs' talent might show in the second half. That's why I like the Patriots first half. And this game's all going to come down, to Cam Newton. He's got to play his best game of the year, like he played against Seattle. He's going to have to keep drives alive. He's going to have to make plays with his feet. And I will also be on the Cam Newton over rushing yards for sure. I think Baltimore had a terrible game plan. I think Lamar could have ran for 200 in that game if he wanted to. But I'm not big on hey, we have to prove he's a pocket passer on Monday. I don't care about that stuff. Win the game. Do what you need to win the game. And to me, I thought their first drive was impressive, and then for some reason they just went away from it. And I think, if I've seen it, Bill's seen it, and I think to me the Newton's going to have a big game on the ground, so I like over his rushing yards prop.
All right, I like the logic on the first half bet and your over rushing yards prop. Before we wrap up, you touched on Cam Newton. I want to talk about him real quick. Just get your thoughts. There's so many people. It's such a polarizing issue on Twitter. I feel like Cam himself, right? Since he's been in the game, like, to me, he's having a really good season. And then you have people that are out there that are just like, Cam Newton lost him the game against the Seahawks. He's terrible. He can't do this. He can't do that. But I think he's playing well, man, especially for everything that he's been through. It's a good fit. So do you think he's been a good fit for the Patriots? And what do you think about just him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been a great fit. Eh, listen, I covered the Patriots. I've been in the locker room. I know what goes on there. It's a different. I remember we used to have writers come from other teams and say, "I've never seen anything like this." So if you think other teams are doing the same thing as the Patriots, I can assure you they're not. It's just a different way. Bill has complete control, but he has leaders, always has leaders in the locker room who control the locker room and control what players are doing. It's very impressive the way they run things there. So, I remember when Randy Moss was there and I was like, this guy's trouble. I mean, he fit in like a glove. And, so when you get there, you see how they do things and people just fit in. They've had very few problems with people. And, I think at the end of the day, Cam wants to win. Bill wants to win. And, Cam can still play football. Jarrett Stidham's not going to be the starting quarterback when you sign Cam Newton. I don't know why people thought that, but yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. When Cam is healthy, Cam is still one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And if he can stay healthy, the Patriots got a shot in the AFC.
I like that. Thanks for the insights there as well, just from the Pats point of view. So I agree with you, man. He's been a good fit. He's been a good teammate, and it'll be fun to watch how they play out. I'm kind of rooting for them this year. I know that's crazy to say, like the evil empire, but
it's weird, isn't it?
I've
noticed. I thought I didn't like the Patriots. I think I didn't like Brady. Yeah. I don't. And now I'm rooting against the Bucks.
Yeah. So it's now they're kind of this underdog mode, yeah. But just because of a lot of the stuff you touched on, man. To me, Belichick, aka Hoodie, as I like to call him, is just a brilliant dude, man. And I watched his documentary with Saban, and just and from hearing it from you and a lot of other people that have been in that locker room, it's just I appreciate his greatness, and I want to see them do well and at least make the playoffs this year, and just kind of see what happens. So it'll be a fun season the rest of the way out. But thanks for the insights on Cam as well. And now we come to the grand finale. Before we wrap it up, every week before we wrap up, I like to get my guests' pick of the week. It could be anything. It could be first half, total, side, whatever you like. So I'll open it up to you. What's your favorite bet this weekend?
I have a couple plays I like. They're both public. They're both public plays, but I just think they're good spots. I like Arizona to bounce back against Carolina. I think they have way too much offense for that team. The Panthers got a break last week playing the Chargers, who have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. And you look at this line, 3.5. I just think the Cardinals can do anything they want offensively. So I like them to win easily. And I always look for these unique spots that happen once every 10, 15 years. And I think we have one Monday night. If the Falcons get off that bus, I'll be shocked. They lost 2 gut-wrenching games. Gut-wrenching. I mean, historical games. Those players, I think, are shot. I don't think – what are the coaches going to say to them? Get up by 30? So to me, Green Bay's rolling. I underestimated the Packers this year. I've been impressed with them so far, and I just think this is an emotional game where the Falcons. This might get really. I remember years ago when Wade Phillips was at the end of his tenure, and he went into Green Bay, and they didn't get off the bus, and the Packers beat him by 40, and Wade got fired the next day. This feels very similar to me. That you're going to have people taking the points with the Falcons, and by the second quarter, you're going to be wondering why you bet Atlanta.
No, I like that. I'm with you. I hate the Packers in real life, but I think this is a good spot for them. We saw just how decimated their secondary is as well, right? And so Aaron Rodgers should be able to move the ball nice and easy against this squad. And it's funny you brought up that Wade Phillips game. This reminds me a lot of the Bears game at Lambeau. I don't know if you remember. I think they lost 55-0 or something like that, like a Sunday night game, and Trestman got fired after that. So a little bit like that same situation where he had just lost the squad, and no one showed up for that game. So it is a little bit of public side, and Vegas is going to need some kind of miracle in that game. But I agree with you. And same thing with the Packers. I wasn't high on them when the season started. I thought they were going to regress a little bit, but they've looked like the most balanced team in the NFC North so far. And so we'll see what happens. Well, that's about it, man. It wraps up my show. I really appreciate you coming on. It's always fun chatting football with you, talking about, real life stuff too. So I'm glad to see you and your fam are doing well during these crazy times. And I'm going to be following you on Twitter for some more good stuff, man. Before we go, let everyone know where they can follow you on Twitter, or some of your work on the score.
Yeah, you can follow me at the Tom Casale, Casale on Twitter, and you can download the Score app and subscribe to the betting feed, and you'll get all the stuff we produce right there.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again. Good luck this weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Thank you.